Hope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, scheduling permitted, to address whatever topics you might like to discuss and whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. We are here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, brought to you by Fiji Water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock. The water collects in a natural artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is Earth's finest water. And for those of you who continue to give on the Give segment of our app, all of our new listeners and viewers who continue to support the broadcast by your commitment to give on our app at New Life-Delaware, we thank you for your continued support and your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here to address whatever topics you might like to discuss and whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. So we are here in 3D. You may call every day now on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. You can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families, with dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. So we are here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are feeling quite impatient about getting your life back in order. And you want to know what you can do to return to some sense of order in your life. So let me begin by saying this. There's a difference between order and normalcy. So let me, first of all, address the fact that as we are winding down this pandemic that we are in, now we are finally turning the curve in the sense, and I don't want anybody to misinterpret this. I know there's a rise in COVID diagnosis right now. There's a rise in hospitalizations. And the reason that I'm saying we're turning the curve is because we now have a vaccine. However, the rise that has occurred is based on a couple of factors. And that is that there are still a lot of people who refuse to wear masks. There is a segment of the population that does not believe in social distancing, and we had the holidays. Okay, so we had Thanksgiving, we had Christmas, and we had New Year's. You know, a lot of people gathered for New Year's Eve. I'm saying all of that to say that is the reason that's some of the reason for the increase in COVID diagnosis. You know, let's not even take into consideration initially the increased testing, because the more testing we have, the more opportunity we know who's contaminated with COVID. But having said that, moving around during the holidays, people gathering over the holidays, you know, from Thanksgiving, November until January 1st, there was a lot of movement and a lot of activity. So we have an increase. We understand that. But we also have a vaccine that has been now placed before us, that those who desire to be vaccinated can be vaccinated from 65 years of age and up. First of all, those in nursing homes and people with prior health issues can be vaccinated, and first responders and 65 and older. Okay, so I just missed that cutoff, but you know, it will come. And so I'm saying all of that to say we're turning the curve because there will be more vaccines. There will be more opportunity to get vaccinated. And I'm looking forward to being vaccinated. I will tell you that. I would rather be vaccinated and deal with, if there's any side effects at all, than to be exposed to the potential of COVID. So I say all of that to say, normal is not what it looked like before COVID. So, we have to understand that there's going to be some changes in all of us from a psychological aspect and from a behavioral aspect. So, I have to be very cognizant of the fact that every one of us as human beings has been impacted in some form by COVID. That's a reality for all of us. And, we've been dealing with this for quite some time now, okay? There's a reason that it was named COVID-19 and not COVID-20, is because it was discovered in 2019, the end of 2019. So we're aware of that. And we have to think practically about all of this. So we have to understand that normalcy is different than having your life in order. So you're feeling impatient because prior to COVID, you felt like your life was in order. But the truth of the matter was, your life had gotten out of order before COVID. Your perception was that it was in order. So what you want to do is you want to go back to not only pre-COVID, but you want to go back to pre-2019. And the reason is because there was an occurrence in your life in 2018 that resulted in your life getting out of order in 2019. And then 2020, we're living with COVID. So now you're becoming impatient because now your life hasn't been in order for longer than you perceive. So what you want to know is, how do you return to that sense of order? And what I'm going to encourage you to do is to get back to the basics. You've got to make certain that you understand the importance of living with time management, accountability, time management, discipline, and accountability. Those are going to be three crucial factors that are going to allow you to not only thrive, but excel. So let me first of all talk about the time management aspect of your life. So for now, the last couple of years and coming into this year, you have been off a time management schedule. You were, prior to the occurrence in 2018, which occurred in your life, you did fairly well managing your schedule. Time has to be a crucial aspect for each and every one of us. Now, I realize that, to God, one day is like 1,000 years, but that doesn't mean we're going to live 1,000 years. So we need to make certain that every single hour of every day means something to us. That we're doing something positive with every hour of every day and trying to get the best results. And then we have to make certain that every day we are scheduled completely to do what we can do to maximize our success. So let me say this. You don't want to waste time, first of all. You're not a time waster, but you don't always manage it effectively and efficiently. So we have to make certain that everything is scheduled out. So we have to make certain that we, first of all, keep a solid calendar, which is going to allow us to really be effective in our time management. So I recognize that a lot of people now are using just their electronic calendars, and I use an electronic calendar also. I think it's a good reinforcement. But I also use a daily agenda, hardscape daily agenda, meaning I'm writing in my daily agenda every single day. And I'm writing not only the task that I accomplished, but what has to be done the following day, what conference calls I want to schedule, what time needs to be scheduled for my workout, what time needs to be scheduled for the broadcast, for production and post-production, and then everything that's going to follow after the broadcast. Every day has to be scheduled out. You trust God that whatever adjustments need to be made in the day, that they can be made. You can revise your schedule if you have to move some things around. If a conference call is canceled, you can use that time more effectively to do something else that is on your calendar to complete the tasks that need to be completed. And of course, I've often said on the broadcast, I schedule everything in 2-hour increments. And the reason is because every aspect of your life, administrative aspects, development aspects, management aspects, marketing aspects, and operation aspects. If you do that, that's a 10-hour workday. That's a 10-hour day of conducting business. Now, you also have to schedule time for the little things that need to be done. So your morning prep. So nothing changes for me. I'm going to every day shave, shower, and get dressed so that I'm prepared for our Achievers Academies. Right now we're doing Zoom calls, but also for the broadcast and for everything that follows after the broadcast. So, 2 hours of prep in the morning means getting my workout in, getting my, shave and showering. Now, if I have other calls, international calls or international emails that have to be sent off because of the time differences, so I may not get my workout in the morning. I have to get it in later in the day. And I'm using these examples just as ways for us to really look at how we can maximize the use of our calendar and time management. So that has to be a factor in our lives. And then the discipline. So, I shared all of those because it's important that we recognize that we have to schedule enough time for everything. So that's a 2-hour prep for me in the morning. And that, goes along with shaving and showering and getting dressed and taking care of the little things that I need to take care of to make certain that my life is in order, which is what you want to accomplish, getting order. And then the administrative aspects of your day, the development aspects of your day, whether it is business development or whether it is personal development. So you've got the personal side and you have the professional side and you have the spiritual side of our lives. Remember, we want to be healthy, body, mind, we want to be whole, body, mind, and spirit. So whatever you've got to do to make certain that you get that in order, you need to do it. And I will encourage you to do it by beginning your day with meditation and prayer. My day starts that way without question. Before I do any of those other things that I mentioned to you. And that's why there's a 2-hour prep for me in the morning. Everything has to be done decently and in order. And the discipline portion of that is that you have to be committed every single day. So, I often use the analogy that the root word for disciple is discipline. You've got to discipline yourself to do those things that you know need to be done, even if you don't feel like doing it. It has to be part of your mentality to say, I am going to discipline myself to live within the order of life. I want to experience the fullness of God. First of all, I want to maximize the success of the purpose that God has placed upon my life. And then I want to experience the fullness of God. And then I want to maximize the fullness of God. And all of that requires discipline. All of that requires us to be disciplined to accomplish everything that God has purposed for our lives. Otherwise, we're just living. We're just existing. We're not living life and living it more abundantly. We're not maximizing the fullness of God. And in order to do that, we have to be disciplined, continuously disciplined. And then we have to say, let this mind be in you that was in Christ Jesus. So the attitude is going to be most important. You know, there are people that we all know, people that we even love, that we don't like their attitude. Their attitude is never going to allow them to experience the fullness of God until they change their attitude. Because attitude determines altitude. So attitude determines if you get to the next level. Attitude determines if you go, and it has to be consistent. It can't be, you know, today you have one attitude, tomorrow you have another attitude, the next day you have another attitude, the next day you have you've got, you know, there's a name for that because it's different personalities. But it's all begins with the attitude. And to get your life back in order, it's got to begin with the attitude. An attitude is going to have a significant impact on your performance and your success. So we really want to make certain that we're not focused on the lack of normalcy, right? The semblance of normalcy that we missed prior to the pandemic. We want to focus on the order, but I wanted to make certain you knew the difference, because part of what you're feeling is brought on by the psychological impact of COVID, but at the same time, it's not the problem. The problem is the order. And so you've got to get back to the basics to get, you know, to focus on your time management, to focus on your discipline, and focus on having the right attitude every single day. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will place you into our queue so that you can become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a monthly discount on your bill at T-Mobile, America's largest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your business has been surviving during the pandemic. However, you want to continue making progress and you are not certain how to get to the next level. So let me first of all address your communication by saying that your business has not just been surviving the pandemic. Your business has been thriving. It's your perception that has been surviving. Your perception is that your business has just been surviving because you're able to pay your bills, you're able to pay your employees, you're able to continue some growth. You don't perceive that as thriving, you perceive that as surviving. And once again, this comes from the psychological impact that the pandemic has had on everyone in some form. Because you only see that you continue generating income, you're paying your bills, and you're paying your employees. So you're only looking at it from that perspective. You're not looking at the increase, and this is, again, the impact of the pandemic. You're not looking at the increase of what you have in reserves. You're not looking at the increase in the revenue that you continue generating that's allowed you to be able to build some reserve. You're only looking at it, and everyone can't say that. Some people their businesses are surviving. Your business is thriving. You've got to change your perception. And when you change your perception, what's going to happen is you're going to think differently. And because you begin thinking differently, you'll be able to go to the next level. So let me tell you what that looks like. The next level is driving revenue. So the next level is to focus on how you can increase your marketing at a low cost. You know, you've got, that's all part of researching how you can reduce the cost of your marketing and continue to get the same impact. So you have to look at the cost of efficiencies. You don't have to cut back on employees. Your employee costs are going to be employee costs. You don't have to reduce any of those costs. You're going to look for efficiencies that are going to allow you to reduce some of your cost of operations so that you can increase your bottom line. That's going to take you to the next level. You're going, of course, I mentioned the marketing. You're going to increase your marketing, but not your marketing costs. And that's going to require you and your staff to research and drill down and determine how can you maximize your marketing without increasing the cost. The cost of marketing needs to remain the same. In 2021, I dated the broadcast again, but we're Facebook Live and YouTube Live, so the dates are there anyway. You need to know that this is going to allow you to get to the next level. And then the next level beyond that is how do you expand your business? You know, you have a brick and mortar location, you have an online presence. How can you expand the business? And part of that is, and I want to say this to all of our listeners and viewers, the prayer of Jabez. The prayer of Jabez. Enlarge my coast. That's expanding your business, expanding your offerings, expanding your products, expanding your line. There are things that you can do to create additional streams of revenue, which will take you to the next level. You know, that's the beauty of business, is that you've always got to be looking for ways to increase revenue and diversify. You know, and I don't necessarily mean changing your business, your current business. I'm talking about diversifying your offering line, diversifying your investments for your reserves. There's things you can do that are going to take you to the next level, and every level is going to allow your business to continue to thrive. And sometimes you have to, when you're a business owner, you have to consider investing in some particular areas that you might not normally have chosen for an investment. You know, it's the same thing. Let me give you examples. It's the same thing for people who, unlike you, are not entrepreneurs, but they are working in a profession. Well, there are other things that you can do that will generate revenue for you that have nothing to do with your current profession. They may go to work every day, and this is for all of our listeners and viewers, and you'll get a takeaway from this as a business owner. But you may go to work for a particular company or firm every single day from 8 to 5 or 9 to 6, whatever the hours are. And when you get off, at the end of your business day, instead of focusing on, doing things that just involve pleasure or doing things that involve shutting down your mind and just, watching TV, sitcoms, there are things that you could research to find a way to establish investments or business, a second enterprise that will generate income, that then you take that income and reinvest in the stock market, you reinvest in the business itself, that will allow you to generate additional revenue that you should not spend. It should be specifically for investment purposes, to build wealth. Your income from your current job should cover your expenses, your living expenses. That's a secondary business or additional streams of revenue should be something that is purely for building wealth. And what most people do is they find that they call it a side hustle. They'll find something that they can do on the side in addition to their own daily profession, and they take that capital and spend it on pleasure. But they're not building wealth. So we have to focus on, first of all, building a great quality of life. Secondly, maximizing our success. Then seek to experience the fullness of God, and then maximize the fullness of God in all of our lives. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, check for their store hours, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything that a man could possibly need: shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. If you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. If you're in New York, check for their retail hours. Stop in at the retail store. They have everything that you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. If you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you have been considering a change in careers. However, you have spent a significant amount of money on your education and obtaining your degrees, and you don't know if you should make a shift in career. So there's a couple of things that I can say in response to that, and God allow me to see in that secret place of your life. Not only have you spent a significant amount of money, obtaining your education and your degrees, but you have spent, the last 10 years in your profession. So you've got time invested. So there's a couple of things that I can suggest to you. First of all, you chose that career for a reason. You've got some sweat equity into your company because you've been there for 10 years. Here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. First of all, this is what God has assigned for your life. So maybe not, you're not going to change careers. You might change companies if you find that there's no further growth. But I can tell you right now, you really haven't been searching for further growth. So you've been comfortable right where you are and you become stagnant. There are opportunities within your company, but if you decide that you're going to change companies, that's one thing. Don't change careers. But you can begin to research entrepreneurship. How can you become more involved in entrepreneurship during your off schedule, during your off time? Because you have some skills and talents that you could apply in another way that will generate additional capital for you, not for you to spend for pleasure, but for you to invest and begin building wealth. And you will find that you will be more energized, you'll be more inspired, you will increase your success, you will increase your income, you will increase your capital allocation, you'll be able to allocate capital for investing, and you'll be able to begin building wealth. None of us can save our way to wealth. We have to save and invest. We have to make certain that we are allocating capital in a way that it will increase our wealth. And that's one of the things that we're going to be spending some time on throughout the year, because I'm always about everyone building wealth. And the reason is because when you build wealth, you have the opportunity to not only impact your own life, but to impact the life of your family and the life of the generations to come. And then after you have gotten that in place, you can then begin to have an impact on the lives of others in society from a charitable or philanthropic perspective. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast, 3D, as always, is brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you